If you're a person who wants to hear and diversify your knowledge on various topics, then you're at the right place. In this bi-weekly podcast, we bring in various highly accomplished individuals from various backgrounds to highly valuable pieces of advices and nuggets of wisdoms. So today, I'm Najiha and I'll be hosting today's topic, Green Energy, is Malaysia Doing Enough? With Dr. Nurmiza Razali as our guest of honor. Before we dive into our topic with Dr. Miza, please allow me to introduce our speaker first. Dr. Miza has been leading TNB Sustainability Pathway since its inception. She formerly led the Power Markets and Economics units that provides expertise in macroeconomics, power sector policies, and international market structure. Previously, Dr. Miza was seconded to the Paris-based International Energy Agency (IEA) as a power market consultant. Dr. Miza spent the first 12 years of her career as an academic building up her experience as a tutor, lecturer, and finally a senior lecturer in University Tenaga Nasional. A firm believer of sustainability, her PhD topic was on optimizing the generation capacity and dispatch of a renewable energy-based microgrid in a deregulated electricity market, focusing on profit and loss, P&L, and risk from operational uncertainties. All right, then, let's dive into our topic today with the first question. So, Dr. Miza, what is TMB's main source of energy now? And in the future, is TMB planning to make any shift to more green energy by using more efficient renewable energy?
Okay, thank you so much, Najiha. Hello, everyone. Okay, so on this first question, basically, we are looking at TNB's current portfolio as well as future plan. So basically, if we look at our business now, actually, mostly TNB operates in the Peninsular market here, Peninsular Malaysia, as well as we do have some international assets overseas. So the breakdown of our generation capacity and subsequently generation mix is mostly coming from thermal generation. So when I say thermal generation, this consists of both gas and also coal-fired power plants. This makes up more than 80% of TNB generation fleet. Um, um, Subsequently, I mean, after gas and coal, we do have as well many hydropower plants. So those are the big dams generating electricity in Peninsular Malaysia. We do have as well aims and also efforts transitioning into renewable energy. So we have large scale solar plants here in Malaysia. There are two plants currently operating, as well as we do have assets, especially in UK, on solar and onshore and offshore wind power. So that makes up the core of the generation business of Tenaga Nasional.
Oh, okay. So, as one of the only electric utilities company in Peninsular Malaysia and also the largest publicly listed power company in Southeast Asia, what is some of the TMB's project that encourage the use of green energy in Malaysia?
Okay, so if I can continue from the discussion just now when I mentioned that, the generation makes up currently, whereby we are growing our renewable energy. Okay, so in terms of the renewable energy capacity itself, in Peninsular Malaysia, due to our uh, potential between solar and also wind energy, Malaysia is more suitable for solar power. So that's why we have large scale solar, as well as TNB encourages our customers to install solar rooftop. Okay, solar rooftop is also a growing renewable energy source that we can have on top of our own residential buildings, as well as the industry rooftops, like factories and also the commercial areas, for example. So that's here domestically. And when it comes to the international market, um, when we talk about renewable energy, we have mainly also solar, wind, And not forgetting, actually, hydro is also considered a renewable energy, although hydro is, we can say, quite a conventional generation. Yeah. So that would be the main technologies we are embarking on. But moving forward, definitely there would be other trends and other technologies that could be coupled together with these renewable energy technologies.
Hmm. Okay, so another question is, what is the role of an engineer, such as electrical, civil, mechanical, and chemical, in the field of renewable energy engineering?
Okay, definitely a lot. I myself, I'm an engineer. So it can comes from the project planning side itself. When we talk about project planning, this will bring together different type of engineering skills. Okay, especially when it comes to renewable energy. Um, in terms of how do we actually develop the project, that's the financial bit, that's the technical bit, because we have to build it. Um, you know, it could be on land, it could be offshore, it could be on rooftop, right? And then there's that cabling itself, which will take beyond civil and mechanical just now. That would take electrical engineering expertise, and definitely nowadays we also talk about environmental engineering, right? The socio-economic part. So this side, on this part, the techno-economic and also a social acceptance bit o- of the skills that most engineers learn in universities are very relevant. So I would say that renewable energy is one field whereby actually many different parts or many different skill sets that are being developed for our engineers would come in. Okay, so that's on planning. Later on, when we want to commission those plants, definitely, there's testing, there's monitoring, and when it is operational, then it goes to, again, how does it behave day to day? How does it impact the system, the electrical system? What kind of operating regime that need to be there, for example. So it doesn't confine one skill set or one time, one off work from engineering perspective. Mm.
Oh, okay. So, the U.S. President Biden has unveiled his plan of investing 555 billion US dollar in the green energy sector. So, in this regard, what are the efforts that Malaysia has taken in order to keep up with this huge globally influential project?
Okay, when we talk about Malaysia and our ambition as well as outlook when it comes to renewable energy, and moving towards a greener um, generation of power sector, there have been many initiatives that the government comes up with in the past even 10, 12 years. Okay. Um, so initially the government started off with having feed-in tariff, which is applicable to smaller renewable energy installations, especially when it comes to solar, or rooftop solar, biomass, biogas. And then maybe 4 5 years ago, government introduced this large scale solar scheme, whereby it is regulated by the Energy Commission, and it offers the owners of this large scale solar the opportunity to sell electricity generated back to the national grid for a period of 21 years. So it's a form of long term contract. Okay. Beyond that, government also introduced many programs and incentives. For example, net energy metering. So this net energy metering currently is at its second or third iteration already. And then we have also self-consumption scheme, or short form is SELCO, as well as there's supply agreement for renewable energy, which we call SARE. So there are options on how we actually want to generate and whether we want to use up all of the energy by ourselves or we want to sell back the excess to the utility. Mm. When it comes to incentivizing the investment itself, Malaysia has this green income tax exemption. Okay, so um, this is driven to actually benefit the economy and perhaps even making sure that the businesses related to producing and having renewable energy here in Malaysia, in terms of equipment, having solar panel production, for example, benefit our economy and create a spillover effect in terms of job creation, for example. Um, so environment is one thing, but the other part is actually the supporting the economic growth of Malaysia itself. Yeah, so it's beyond going green. Yeah, so that's why when we talk about renewable energy, we can't run away from relating it with the energy transition, as well as how in the future we could um, have technologies which is maybe not in the form of renewable, but much greener than what we are having today.
Hmm. Okay, so um, you've
Mm.
been in this field for too long, right? So I want to ask you, like, what do you think are the challenges that Malaysia is facing in the shift towards a greener society?
Okay. You would this is in the sense of challenges you say, right? Okay. Green society. I think the interesting bit about this green society is because it's about culture and values as well. Yeah. So society has its own aspiration, while the government can um, instill some awareness as well as make some enablers happen. Okay, for example, just now I talk about what are some of the initiatives and efforts which have been done by the government. But on top of that as well, a government has a certain outlook. Government has a target for renewable energy by 2025. 31% of our generating capacity would come from renewable, for example, and 2025 just now, and 2035 at 40%. So that's on the national level. When it comes to moving the society, really, it would be also impacted by what happens every day, right? Um, so the challenge would be whether we feel or we believe that turning greener would benefit us, because sometimes, for example, the choice of choosing locally produced food versus something that is imported, right? At first glance, it might not make any difference. I mean, like the prices, for example, may not change much. But when we think about the spillover and also the sustainability part, the we need to think deeper. What is the impact? Okay, one is that, for example, if I choose to be greener in my daily life choices, I would support communities around me as well as the product doesn't travel that far. It doesn't create that extra carbon footprint when by the time that it reaches me or my home, right? That is one thing. So I would say challenges is actually not only awareness, but what comes with the awareness, whether um, it is on parity or would it come from at a premium. Because sometimes making these greener choices would um, add cost on top of it. Sometimes it is cheaper, but sometimes it might also cost more. I think another challenge is that technologies. Technologies sometimes the maturity will take or will make the feasibility comes a bit later than we hope. Okay, so in a way, this was reflected by, for example, just now I touched upon having solar rooftop. 10 years, 5 years ago, it was very expensive to have it on our own home. Nowadays, it's becoming a bit more affordable. So, with having that technology options, which is economical, we may want it, but um, these factors may affect when we are going to actually embark on it. Okay, I guess that's the other challenge. Um, I think what's good when we think about these challenges, actually is that we shouldn't look at it individually. We should look at it as a community, because when something, this is also about supply and demand, right? When everyone is moving towards the same direction, everyone actually has those services which are having this green consciousness would become more and more available in the market. Yeah. So actually, with these challenges, it will also change what is available out there. Because as human being, we are by nature trying to not only overcome the challenges, but we aspire as well to be better and to achieve something more than what we have now. So I think that's a very interesting question, especially when we talk about it at society level.
Yeah, it's really hard to change the society actually because we used to be what we used to before, and to change to the greener society, it's really hard and it's really take a long time with it. So, what are the current or future trends for the field of renewable energy?
Okay, interesting. The current and future trend, technology progress has been tremendous in the past 5, 10, 15 years. The trend was that, for example, I mentioned earlier, the easiest part was actually on producing solar panels, for example. And then the next one is how to make it affordable. And then when we talk about wind turbine, wind turbine initially most are onshore, then it becomes offshore. Then the technology trend out there globally then is actually to couple these intermittent energy resources with energy storage. So energy storage become co-located with solar power installation, because as we know, solar power is intermittent in nature. Whenever we have a cloud cover, then the output will vary. As well as at night, there's no solar irradiation, so we cannot store it. So this is where another technology which could store it then becomes more viable to be coupled with this kind of generation. But moving forward, beyond renewable energy, beyond the rest like biomass, biogas, um, and also hydro, and also mini hydro, what we are seeing as well is that the world is moving towards piloting um, and co-firing the gas plants, for example, with hydrogen. So hydrogen is deemed greener than the current thermal generation. That is one. And secondly, when we talk about energy transition and how to actually manage our emission, there are also research and pilot into having carbon capture and storage. Okay, utilization and storage. So we call it a CCUS. So these are some of the emerging trends still being tested out at a smaller scale worldwide, and we hope this will come to to Malaysia in the next decade or so.
Oh, okay. So we actually have one last question for you, Dr. Niza. So do you have any advice for the youth who interested to venture into the field of renewable energy?
As you mentioned before this, Najiha, that my background was that I taught in University Tenaga Nasional for 12 years actually. So I was a lecturer. So to me, it's very important to always, inspire the younger generation and make them think that, there are a lot of opportunities out there and the world is changing, and definitely when it comes to, be it engineering or other graduates that are coming to join the workforce, actually this is maybe one of the best time to come in and also tackle these challenges. As we know, some of these awareness on climate change, on greener technologies, also is influenced by the recent pandemic. And also nowadays, we see that the impact of the climate change is real. We see flood, for example, right? We see global warming. Sometimes we see not warming, but also, also a certain part of the world becomes much colder than it was before. So I think there are many um, technological change needed in the upcoming decades. I mean, in the next few decades, where uh, I would hope the new graduates and also students who are, aspiring to go out there and contribute, be it in technology, in economics, and beyond. Um, let's figure out how to make the world. I shouldn't say it as if I'm in a beauty pageant. I shouldn't say let's save the world, right? But let's figure out how to make the world sustainable. Yeah, it's not only for us, but it's for future generation. To me, definitely, my future generation is your generation. But then beyond that, let's look at, uh, you know, what more can we do from our respective expertise, from our respective passion, because passion is also important. Sometimes when we join the workforce, um, we feel that this is a job which pays me to an extent that I could survive, but that shouldn't be the objective. Okay, the objective is to contribute, but also enjoy ourselves when we are doing the work. And how to enjoy ourselves is to feel that sense of purpose, that our job brings something to either the world or even the community closest to us. So that would be the way I see it, at least. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Niza, for the beautiful and inspirational advice. I really hope that we have more younger generation that really interested in this field of renewable energy. So I guess it's a wrap for today, folks. All the members of Aussie Podcast would like to sincerely thank to Dr. Normiza Razali for being the speaker and our guest of honor for today's session. We would also like to thank all the audience who are currently tuned in to this episode. We hope that today's session has proved to be beneficial and insightful to you. If you would want to listen to experience and stories of other key individuals in their respective paths, make sure to hit the subscribe button below and the bell icon to be notified each time we release a new episode. If you would like to be part of the OT Podcast community, do follow us on our social media pages. All the links to our social media pages are listed in the description below. With that being said, see you all in the next episode. Until then, take care and stay safe, guys. Bye!